Welcome back. Let's take a look at the first idea, the sentence and its basic elements. A basic sentence must contain a subject, a verb, and the two together must express a complete thought. So there may be more words needed to complete the thought. Let's take a look at a few of Mr. Hepworth's well-crafted examples. Plums pontificate. Yeah, that's a big word. It means to think. Plums are my subject. Pontificate is my verb. All I know about plums is that they're purple. I don't think they pontificate.
Au contraire, not only do plums pontificate, purple plums, proudly pontificate. In this sentence, purple plums is the subject, and pontificate is still the verb. Proudly is an adverb. If you don't want to talk about plums, perhaps we can talk about apples.
Apples advance. Apples is your subject, advance is your verb. Perhaps they're rolling? I'm not sure.
Whoever came up with these sentences is a freaking genius. The last sentence reads like this: arrogant apples always advance awkwardly. Obviously. In this instance, apples is our simple subject. So we have arrogant apples as our complete subject. Arrogant is an adjective. The verb is advance. Awkwardly is an adverb because it describes advance. Always is also an adverb because it tells us when we advance.
That one was a little tricky. I wasn't sure what to do with always.
Really? Because you're an English teacher. That seems like something you should know. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we need to write down some definitions. We've got subjects to start with. We are going to start with simple subjects, complete subjects, and compound subjects. So as we go through this, write this down. A simple subject is a single noun or pronoun. It's usually at the beginning of a sentence, and it tells exactly what the sentence is about.
Now, the complete subject will include that simple subject, but it's also going to include anything else that modifies the simple subject. So you're talking about any adjectives that might describe that subject, including any prepositional phrases. Pretty much anything that attaches to the single simple subject is part of the complete subject.
Lastly, we have compound subjects. A compound subject is made up of two or more subjects that are connected with words such as and, or but.
The same ideas apply to predicates. A simple predicate is that same single word, but this time the predicate is the verb, or it could be a verb phrase. So it might be more than one word if we have a helping verb. So you could say run is the predicate, or we could say had ran. We usually find this after the subject, and this is what tells what the subject does.
Just like with subjects, we also have a complete predicate. We have a verb or a verb phrase and any complements or objects that tell what the subject does. We'll show you more about that here in a few moments. Lastly, we also have compound predicates. Once again, two or more predicates connected with words such as and, or but. Ladies and gentlemen, here's a little tip for you. Ladies and gentlemen, here's a little tip for you. If you can, you should cross out phrases, because when we are trying to find subjects and verbs are never found in phrases. So for example, if you are given this sentence, the fish in the lake was very cold. Some of you might be tempted to say that the word lake is the subject. However, we can see that the word lake is actually part of a prepositional phrase. And so we cross out the whole phrase, which means the subject is actually the word fish. Ta-da!
All right, so here are a few examples. If I'm looking at this sentence, Mrs. Walters flies to work in her new spaceship. The simple subject is Mrs. Walters. There are no adjectives describing Mrs. Walters, so it is also my complete subject. The verb is flies. That would be my simple predicate or my simple verb, but my complete subject would include where I fly. Flies where? I fly to work. How? In my new spaceship. So that whole long ending is my complete predicate. Her beautiful, shiny spaceship and its captain, Captain Caroline, zoomed past Mr. Hepworth in his broken-down space buggy. I have a very intense subject here. I have two simple subjects. Her spaceship and its captain. So spaceship and captain would be considered my simple subject. It is a compound subject because there are two joined by the word and. If I were to ask for the complete subject, I would have to include everything that describes the spaceship. Her beautiful shiny is included with spaceship, and everything that's included with captain. Its captain and Captain Caroline is describing that too. So that whole red piece is my complete subject. The verb in the sentence is zoomed. So that would be my simple predicate or my simple verb. My complete predicate would be where they zoomed and how. So we zoomed past Mr. Hepworth in his broken down space buggy. It's because Caroline's the best captain ever.
Mr. Hepworth cried softly and repaired his ship. Mr. Hepworth, in this case, is the subject. We happen to have a compound predicate because we have two verbs. We have the word cried and we have the word repaired. So those would be our simple predicates combined with the word and. But if I were to ask you for the complete predicate, we would have to include the entire rest of the sentence, cried softly and repaired his spaceship. That is the basic sentence. If you have any questions, come find us. You know where we are. Let's move on. No, don't move on. That was terrible. Ta-da!
That's how you're going to end it.
That's how I end a lot of my other ones.
Okay.